And we're live recording. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MYPREPPLUS, the data. So today I really want to dig into Hurricane Helene and the media coverage roughly 72 hours after the destruction that this hurricane had on a large portion of the United States. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I collected and analyzed, or assessed, I should say, I assessed 63 different news organizations that span the political spectrum, from as far left spectrum all the way to the right spectrum. And all I did was, I'll go through the methodology here, but I really wanted to see who was actually covering the destruction, devastation that this hurricane actually had on the communities at large. And what's very interesting is the data is quite scary. So let's just dive right into it, and here we go. All right, so what we should be seeing is just a snapshot of roughly where Hurricane Helene sort of took its route, and you can kind of see with this yellow line, Hurricane Helene kind of did one of these northeast patterns and then veered northwest, and you can kind of see that it cut through Florida, Georgia, touched South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee, and then it floated up here in the northern portions of the states. What I want to highlight is this map is just a snapshot, obviously, but this kind of gives you an idea of how many people went without power during the storm and the aftermath. And right now we're filming currently on Tuesday, October 2nd, and there are folks still within the South Carolina region, surrounding Greenville region, who currently still do not have power. So just want to really highlight and hammer home what we're looking at here. So as we scroll down, you're going to see that this chart, I can't take credit for the actual chart here. Let me see if I can zoom out. Okay. All right. So All Sides Media, what they did was, All Sides, what they did was they created a media bias chart, and they did an entire methodology of how they came up on this. So I did not create this chart, but I did use this chart to go through my methodology. And you might be asking, why did what does this even mean, or have anything to do with, the assessment of the media's coverage of Hurricane Helene? Well, I'll tell you, I currently live and work out of Greenville, South Carolina. My supervisor lives in another state. So she actually contacted me on Monday, mid-morning, and asked how things were going in my area. She also commented that there wasn't much media coverage surrounding the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. So I found that quite odd. In addition to multiple family members eventually reaching out. Of course, I've been in contact with them throughout the storm and prior to, family and friends, of course. And so when I decided to go on to a few news organizations to figure out exactly what it is that these guys were actually covering, and why they were asking similar questions but vague questions at best, I decided to basically pull all sides, this political spectrum, as far as the media coverage, and wanted to dig for myself to figure out, okay, who's actually covering Hurricane Helene's aftermath, okay? And so I'm not here to be political. This is not a political assessment, but what I do want to point out is that the data really is frightening, okay? So again, I'm not here to argue why certain news organizations are placed in certain categories. That's besides the point. But what I really want to hammer home is the media coverage of Hurricane Helene. And what you'll notice right here on the left-hand side, All Sides categorizes these news organizations as left. These news organizations have left-leaning. These news organizations have center, right, leaning right, and then of course right. Okay, again, I'm not here to argue why news organizations were categorized as one category or the other. I just was here to figure out why family, friends, and coworkers and supervisors and bosses were asking questions that I thought for sure would be covered diligently on the news organization websites. So the criteria was quite simple. All I did was I went on I followed the pattern from left to right, but what I did was I went to the home screen of every 63 news organizations between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. on Monday, October 1st. And all I did was take a screenshot. And what you're going to notice is a lot of the screenshots, what I was concerned was with, if I'm just quickly assessing a news organization, I don't care about scrolling down to find an article. I want to know what's being presented to me clearly in a matter that draws my attention. That was really what I was after. And so when I did these screenshots full blown, you're going to notice that some of the screenshots, these organizations, news organizations, they pay for ad spaces, and the ad spaces in some cases took up a large portion of the news the web page. So it's not to say that potentially the article would have. The news organization may have actually presented information on Hurricane Helene, but the point that I was trying to make here is that was it apparent, obvious, and easy for the viewer to actually assess and see what was actually going on in this part of the country. The data shocked me, and it's kind of scary. So let's go through how I collected the information. Okay, I decided to pick 3 categories. 1 was a major topic, 2 was a secondary topic, and 3 was a tertiary topic. And then the way I did that was, for instance, here with this is alternate, and according to all sides, they're left biased news organizations. Again, I don't really care about the political stance of the news organization or not. But what I cared about is, are they reporting on Hurricane Helene? And so right here, you're going to notice this main topic is a big image, and in this case we have a presidential candidate running for president. That in my methodology was considered main topic 1, and then naturally my eyes were drawn to the top right. This would be considered main topic number 2, and then just below it main topic number 3. I only was concerned with the 3 topics. All right, and then the fourth assessment was, if Hurricane Helene was mentioned in one of the 3 main topics, great. If it wasn't, was it mentioned anywhere on the page? And so I'll show you how I kind of collect and analyze that information, but I categorized, if Hurricane Helene was the main topic, so for instance, if this was a big picture of Hurricane Helene, that would be a strong indication that this news organization was actually presenting information on Hurricane Helene. If it was here, for instance, in the top right as a secondary topic, then it would be a moderate consideration. And if it was in the 3rd topic, it would also be considered a moderate consideration. If it was the 4th topic, like here in this example, or if it was just a blurb somewhere on the page, it was considered a weak topic mention on the news organization. Now you know you're going to have some folks that may argue or try to counter my analysis, which is fine, but my objective was to say quickly scan 63 news organizations across the political spectrum to see who was presenting information that would draw your attention immediately, right? And we can go into other topics, other episodes as to what I mean by that. But the eye is drawn to certain things immediately, and if the population or the sample size is not immediately drawn to that information, they quickly move on. So that's what I was trying to do here. If I pull up a news organization, right, and I quickly go to their website, and let's say, again, I want to reiterate, if a website was paying for ad space and a majority of that screen was taken up by ad space, well, my eye's drawn to the ads. It's not drawn to anything really newsworthy on the web page. So I really want to hammer that home as well. It is possible that if I had taken the time to scroll down, there may have been mentions of Hurricane Helene. But the point again that I'm trying to make is that after multiple phone calls, and then finally the cherry on top, my supervisor calling me and saying, hey, there's not really any news coverage of what's going on with Hurricane Helene, that's what prompted me to just quickly understand why I'm getting these phone calls and conversations, and wanted to understand who's really covering this material. So going down the screenshots, you're going to see if you use the same methodology. In this second example, the Atlantic, the main topic was here. This was categorized as a Middle Eastern topic. The second topic was, it's a bigger image. Some of you may say, well, how come you didn't start at the right? Well, because this image was bigger, right? So again, could you have changed up the methodology? Probably so, right? But here's the second topic. In this case, this was categorized as a social issue. Dear therapist, I run into the man who raped me. Social issue. The next thing down, you'll see here, this is an image of Hurricane Helene. This is the third, what I consider the third main topic. So in my analysis, topic number 1 was categorized as Middle East. Topic number 2 was categorized as a social topic, social and cultural topic, and then topic number 3 was categorized as Hurricane Helene aftermath, right? And then again, I didn't really care about any of the other stuff because I was only searching for the top 3 main topics, and if there was no mention of Hurricane Helene within the top 3 main topics, well, then I was searching on the page for anything that had any mention of Hurricane Helene whatsoever, period. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, obviously you can come back in the comments, you can let me know, and I can help clear that up. Couple more examples. This is, oh goodness, I'm not familiar with a lot of these organizations, so I'd have to zoom in, but I'm going to skip over this one, but it's the same methodology. The interpreter, here we got the dirty business of clean energy, the UK power company polluting small towns across the United States. That was categorized as economic and social topic. And then topic number 2, here, this seems to be this one was categorized as U.S. politics, right? Again, I'm not concerned with the actual content of the news organization itself. I was just concerned with Hurricane Helene aftermath, any information that was being presented. And you'll notice this is a screenshot of the main screen. So this was immediately what my eye was drawn to. If I had scrolled down, it's possible there may have been other mentions, but my eye was immediately drawn to this, and this is what the screenshot revealed, right? So I'm going to keep going down, give you an idea. The Jacobin, same thing. This is a Middle Eastern topic. Possible if I scroll down, I may have seen or witnessed another topic, but in this case, the main topic was categorized as Middle Eastern topic, and then because I didn't scroll down, that was the standard when capturing all these screenshots. Topic number 2 and 3 were NA, and of course there was no mention of Hurricane Helene. The New Yorker, left to right here, and you can see U.S. politics, Middle East. This one was, I'll have to double check what the category was for this one. Season. I think this one was social norms. Social, categorized as a social category. But it was only the first 3 topics. That's all I cared about. So let me just give you an idea, right? So if I go all, it doesn't matter, right? Scroll all the way down. Some of the big names, same thing here. This is the New York Times. This is a Middle Eastern topic, and just below it, U.S. officials believe Israel will not conduct full invasion of Lebanon, Middle Eastern topic. And then just below that, there's an image here. So I think this was, this was categorized as, So this is a combo topic. And it wasn't designated as a third main topic. It was actually designated as a mention of Hurricane Helene. So you can kind of see the pattern. It's very difficult to standardize each news organization because they all report differently. And so I just want you to see that I literally went through 63 news organizations' websites. And here's an example, Business Insider. Okay, they just report on business material. Great. Well, a lot of what's happening in these southern portions of the United States has a lot to do with business. So you would hope that there would be some mention of Hurricane Helene. In this instance, there just wasn't. And again, I want to go back to the story of, or go back to the point that I made earlier, that the screenshot that I took was what fit on my screen. I didn't go searching and digging for the topic, right? I wanted to see what drew my attention immediately as I looked at as I looked at the material. And so I keep going down and keep going down. And so here's an example. This is CBS. Main topic was a mention of Hurricane Helene, right? Helene's death toll tops 100 as southeast. And I'm sure there's more verbiage, but this is all that fit on the page. Right here, this is CNN Next. You read left to right. So on the left-hand side, this was topic number 1, Middle Eastern topic. Topic number 2 was Hurricane Helene. And then if you keep going, same methodology. So I just want to point out that I literally went through 63 news organizations and captured their main screen to see really what was being reported roughly 72 hours after the devastation, right, of Hurricane Helene. So it's just very interesting. The data is going to paint a really wild picture, and we're going to go through that. But really, I want to just hammer home. It's quite scary. Yeah. I mean, I've heard the saying that you typically want to pick back up on Mondays when you have time to digest the information and really assess what's going on with anything, right? If it's a work topic, if it's sometimes questionable family issues. The point that I'm trying to make here is that typically human nature is to wait to the beginning of the work week to really start thinking about work. The point that I want to make here is that Hurricane Helene was a major devastation. I mean, this storm system spanned the entire East Coast. I mean, from Maine all the way to Florida, and it touched parts of Colorado. I mean, this was a massive storm system. So, and I understand that it hit early Friday morning, the United States. The devastation, really, you could argue it started Thursday evening in Florida. But the point that I'm trying to make is that this was a massive storm with heavy devastation across the entire United States. So I use the analogy a lot of a ship in water. A big ship takes time to turn around. It doesn't just turn around and go in the opposite direction. It does take time to turn itself around and then ultimately get back on track. So what I want to point out here when I get actually into the meat and potatoes of the data is not necessarily who's right, who's wrong, who may be deceiving you, who may not be deceiving you. What I want to point out is that have we lost our way as humans, right? And are we concerned more with other things than the actual human dignity that each of us, one of us carries, especially here at the home front, right? Like society in conjunction with the technology that is exacerbated relatively quickly into what we have here today, which in some aspects is really great. So I'm not going to question technology in this episode, its pros or cons, right? Because obviously without this technology, I'm not talking about this data. But what I do want to talk through is, are we losing the human touch? And the data is really going to show us this. Okay. So let's actually get into the data itself, right? Let me see if I can move it over. There it is. Okay. So if you remember when I was just going through kind of how I categorize all this information, we have left, lean left, center, right, and center. So really, let me go back and just undo all this really fast. And then what I want to do, I want to reorder it. No, I'm not going to reorder it. So the reason I'm not going to reorder it is, in fact, maybe I can do this on the fly. I have pivot tables that are basically reordering the information for me. So if I actually reorder this in front of you, it's going to basically jack up the information I'm about to present. So I made a copy Here we go. I'm going to reorder this from smallest to largest. And so now you'll start to see, you'll see a handful, roughly 14. In this case, all make sure, all sides categorized, 14 news organizations as left. Again, I don't care where they fit. I just wanted to see who was reported on Hurricane Helene. They categorized, how many did they categorize here? The left-leaning news organizations, 16 of them. Center news organizations, 10 of them. Lean right organizations, 8 of them. And then right organizations, 15 of them. And if I do a really quick, if I just kind of get a count of everything, 63 news organizations. You kind of see down here where my mouse is. And so, great, great. What are we doing now? So you'll see here, the next column is the actual news organizations themselves. So this is the title of the news organization. And then again, going through that methodology of first, second, and third major topic. We went through 5 or 6 different categories, which I don't have up right now, but you can kind of see how each category, each main topic was categorized. Middle East, in this case, for the Atlantic, Middle East, social cultural issues, Hurricane Helene. So if I go back to that image of the Atlantic, right? I'm going to come back over here, move this out of the way. Atlantic, we're going to find where that is. Let me scroll up. So if I go back to the Atlantic, let me find the Atlantic. Here it is. Okay. So I categorized the Atlantic. So the first major topic was Middle Eastern topic. Yeah, it's an earthquake. Beirut responds. Okay, so that's Middle Eastern topic. Second topic right here. Dear Therapist, social and cultural issues. And then, of course, your third topic was Hurricane Helene aftermath. So you can kind of see how these were categorized. Now, the next column was there a mention of Hurricane Helene? In this example, the Atlantic, there was. And what was the strength? If you remember, the way I categorized it was, if it was a main topic, it was a strong mention. If it was a topic number 2 or 3, it was a moderate mention. And then if it was outside main topics 1, 2, or 3, I designated it as a weak mention. So you can kind of see how I literally did that for every single news organization that's on this list. And so, I mean, literally every single one I went through and did a scraping method to grab all this information. And so now what I want to talk through is, if I come here, yes or no. What I mean here is, was there a mention of Hurricane Helene, yes or no? And I'll get into this, but if there was a yes, how strong was the yes? Was it a strong yes? So was it a main topic? Was it a secondary or tertiary topic? So I designated it as a moderate topic? Or was it just completely outside the 3 main the bands of topics? So in that case, it was considered, again, a weak topic mention. So what I want to do is if I basically zoom out, the blue indicates a no, right? So at first glance, is there a mention of Hurricane Helene, period? And blue indicates, in this case, when I'm looking at all 63 news organizations, no. Roughly 37 news organizations said it didn't have a mention of Hurricane Helene. And so that's in my opinion, that's different. I don't, that's just different. Let's just say that. Maybe another word, interesting. It's just interesting, right? So now, what about the remaining news organizations at high level? 63 news organizations at either topic 1, 2, or 3, or any mention whatsoever. And in this case, 63. There were 14 strong yes. This is the main topic of discussion. 63 news organizations that span that left through right political spectrum that all sides put together. 14 of them had a front and center mention of Hurricane Helene. And then the next segment of that was a moderate yes. So in this case, 6 of those news organizations had a secondary or tertiary mention. Again, this is based off of the methodology I put together here. And then the third mention of yes was a weak mention, meaning it wasn't in the top 3 mentions, but it was on the page. So there was a yes, it was mentioned, but it wasn't a topic that drew your eye and your attention, right? You had to dig for the information. And so let me expand this, right? So now you start to see, and then I can maybe do a side-by-side and show you what I'm talking about right now. So let me see if I can do this. Okay. So if you look at this, if you look at all sides, right? And again, I don't care about the news organizations, who's inside these categories. All I care about is who was talking about Hurricane Helene. I want to make this very clear. Who was talking about Hurricane Helene in any capacity as soon as I went to their website, okay? That's it. Not that I wanted to dig around, try and find. I wasn't doing research. I'm an average a citizen or curious individual that wants to know what's going on in the world. I went to their website and I just want to see what is drawing my attention today, right? That is it. I didn't put any energy into finding the topic of discussion. I wanted to see what information was being presented to me as an individual who was just casually browsing the news organizations. And so what I want to note is, what's really scary is, if you look here, the left, center, lean right, and right, they all have a heavy no presence, right? I mean, that's pretty scary, right? So meaning, no, there was no mention of Hurricane Helene, at least at first glance. I'm sure if you dug deeper, maybe, right? But in this case, no, right? And what's interesting is, in comparison to the 5 categories, lean left had the most mentions of Hurricane Helene, but relatively speaking, I mean, it's not enough to sway the average a browser of what was actually being discussed. And so it's very, very, very interesting to note that if you look at the spectrum from left all the way to right, a lot of these news organizations, Hurricane Helene was not the main topic of discussion. And even in the cases where there was a hint of Hurricane Helene, you can see it was very minor. So strong yes. Remember, a strong yes was it's a main category. And in this example, there was only one news organization who had a that fit in the left-hand side category with a mention of Hurricane Helene, and then over here on the right, yeah, it looks a little bit better. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that there were other topics of discussions, ladies and gentlemen. So one side or the other isn't better than the other. I promise you that. But it's just very interesting in telling the data, right? So let's go a little bit deeper, right? Let's actually get into what's actually being discussed, right? So topics 1, 2, and 3. So what we're looking at right here is topics 1, 2, and 3, and remember, we had 3 main topics that I polled: Hurricane Helene, U.S. politics, Middle East, economics and financial news, science and technology, social and cultural issues, crime, law, and justice. And then if there was just no mention because of the way I screen captured the news organization's website, then there was just no mention. And so what you're going to notice is, if I zoom way out and just way out, there was 189 topics, either a combination of main, secondary, tertiary. Okay, 3 main topics. Out of those three potential topic categories that I assessed, 26 of them were discussing Hurricane Helene. Not to say that there wasn't a minor discussion of Hurricane Helene somewhere on the page, or if I scroll down. I'm just saying at first glance there were only 26 mentions based on the 3 categories that I was looking at as a casual browser of what it is that is going on in the world today, roughly 72 hours after Hurricane Helene just devastated most of the Southeast. Okay. The next major topic, of course, was U.S. politics. We're in election season, and sort of makes sense, but I would think, something that's devastating a large portion of the population maybe would take precedence. The next topic, heavy topic, was, in this case, the Middle East. The next topic was economic and financial news. In this case, I ordered them in this way. So really, science technology should be at the top if I'm going from biggest to smallest. But science technology, there was 5 topics. Social and cultural issues, there were 41. And then just NA because of the way I captured the screen, or there was ad space that took over most of the screen. There was just 23 spots, either main, second, or third, that just didn't have a main topic, right? So again, I want to reiterate here. Hurricane Helene, out of 189 potential categories, only 26 of them were Hurricane Helene. 49 potential categories were U.S. politics. 29 were Middle Eastern topics. 15 of them were economic and financial news topics. 5 of them were science and technology topics. 41 of them were social and cultural issues, and then the remaining the remaining 23 just they didn't, because the way again I captured the screen, there wasn't a topic to capture. So that's what that's saying. So let's break this up, right? So again, we're looking at 189 topics spread across this all sides media bias chart, right? So I really want to hammer this home. What you're gonna see here is the topic of discussion, either a main topic, secondary, or tertiary topic, is minuscule. Meaning it wasn't main screen in your face. It wasn't a small little block with a picture next to it. It was just, it may have, in this example, it may have been on the screen again, but you really had to search for the topic, right? And again, as a casual browser, I don't want to go search for the information. I want to see what's being presented to me as a casual browser. And this is very frightening, very scary. So that's the word I wanted to use, frightening. Frightening, that's the word I want to use. Very frightening. So if we look from left to right, and again, this is all 3 categories, right? So if we look from left to right, topic number 1, 2, or 3, only 4 mentions. There was only 4 mentions that drew your eye to a topic that had anything to do with Hurricane Helene. Okay? That's scary. Then in this case, 15 topics that drew your eye, topics 1, 2, or 3, 15 of them were U.S. politics. The next category here is Middle East. 9 of them were Middle East. The next one here, 2 of them were economic and financial news. And then the next 6 were social and cultural issues. And then and again, going back to how I captured the screen, if the way the information was being presented from the website didn't allow for additional topics to be captured, or there was ad space that was taking up all of the potential topics that could be captured. Again, you have to think of it like this: I'm a casual browser. I want my eyes to be drawn to, in this case, the topic of Hurricane Helene. I can't draw my eyes to a topic if there's an ad taking up most of the space, or if there's some other topic that's mainstream in front of me that's drawing my attention, right? And so the same methodology was used across lean left, center, lean right, and right. So you can look here, lean right, main topics, topic 1, 2, or 3. Let me see if I can click on this. Let's see if I can get some numbers here. Maybe, but it looks like roughly, okay, so one topic was a main topic, in this case, in one of these lean rights categories. The next topics were U.S. politics, followed by Middle Eastern topics, followed by economic and financial news, followed by cultural issues, and then NA again. So it's I don't know, right? I mean, someone help me understand, why roughly 72 to 82 hours after the Hurricane Helene actually struck and devastated most of the southern portion of the states. Why we're talking about other things, I have no idea. But that's what's going on. And then now, going a little bit deeper, if we look at the first topic, right? Now this is just main topic. Remember, give you an example. Main topic was, I categorized this as the main topic. This was now a main topic, so I want to just kind of point that out again. And if we look at just strictly main topics, again, across the spectrum here, 14 of them were mentions of Hurricane Helene. And then, of course, if I expand this out, it's the same thing, right? In this case, only one news organization had Hurricane Helene as a main topic. Lean left, 6 of them had it as a secondary topic or tertiary. Remember that. I'm sorry. Nope. Take that back. Because I'm looking at first major topic. So that means lean left there were 6 news organizations who had that leaned left in this scenario that actually had Hurricane Helene as their main topic of discussion, and then so on and so forth. So you can kind of see. Now, if we went to a secondary topic, let's just take a look at that. It doesn't get any better. So if it wasn't secondary topic was, if it wasn't a main topic, it was either the second bigger picture or the third bigger picture, right? I don't know what to tell you guys. Third topic here. Let's take a look at this one. I mean, it doesn't get any better. So guys, I don't know. I don't know. I can tell you that Hurricane Helene aftermath was devastating. One for the record books. It has. I still have friends currently in the South Carolina Greenville area who are without power. Period. Okay. I want to really hammer that home. Grocery stores. I'll post some videos. There are some grocery stores where their backup generators didn't kick in on time. It could have been a combination of different things, but fuel. It could have been a limiting with fuel. However, as of today, the city seems to have enough fuel, so don't want to scare anyone there. What I'm trying to bring home is when things get crazy, right? If you don't have a plan, you're not prepared. Well, then you're going to be one of the many, I should say, that are stuck trying to figure out how to get out of the scenario. So it's always good to have a plan, right? MYPREPPLUS, it's all about preparation in any type of analysis work that we do. And I really want to hammer it home that we did the analysis in rough, couple of days, a couple hours here and there. So could you go in better depth? If you had more time, if you had more resources, of course you could, right? But if I just want to really hammer home here that if we're looking at projections, right? If we're looking at realistic kind of forecasting measures, we have to standardize our methodology. We have to look at, okay, how are we collecting the information? How are we categorizing the information? And is it acceptable to categorize that information? We could argue left and right, front and center, how I may have categorized some of the information or how I captured some of that screen data, right? But the point that I'm trying to make, we could have spent a couple more minutes. We could have defined what the user actually, what is a quote unquote user, right? And how is the user actually looking at that data? Guys, this is everything that MYPREPPLUS does. We look at all the spectrum of how we can actually analyze your projections and make them better. Remember, guys, we want to do better so we can be better every single day. And if you haven't already, take a second to reach out a family member anywhere they may be in the world, because you never know. All right. Until then, y'all take care.
Hey everyone, Don't forget to subscribe, like, share.